Hello, welcome to Learn English and Practice with Marie. Today we're going to do something special and talk about the ways that you can ask for help with learning English. Sometimes knowing the right question to ask is half of the battle. So we are going to go through 10 categories where we will do 10 questions in each and just go through them. We'll start with general questions. Then we'll go to finding resources for learning English. Then we'll talk about getting started with English. Study is fourth. Practice is fifth. Pronunciation, comprehension, speaking, grammar, and then lastly, questions that college students who speak English as a second language might be able to ask for help. So let's go ahead and hop in. First, we have general questions. If you don't know where to start, this is a fantastic place. Can you please help me with my English? How can I build my English language skills? How can I improve my English vocabulary? Can you suggest some ways to practice speaking English? How can I improve my English listening skills? How can I build my confidence in my English skills? Can you suggest any strategies for learning English as an adult? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for improving my English? How can I remember new English words? What can I do to better understand native English speakers? Next, we have questions about finding resources for learning English. So if you're looking for tools to help you practice, these are good questions to ask. What are some good resources for learning English? Can you recommend any books or websites for learning English? Are there any books or workbooks I can buy to help me with my English? Can you recommend any English language movies or TV shows to watch and learn from? Can you recommend any English language newspapers or magazines to read? What English language music should I listen to for English practice? Can you recommend any English language audiobooks to listen to? Can you suggest any games or activities for practicing English? Are there any apps or software for learning English that you think I should try? What YouTube channels should I subscribe to for help with learning English? Side note, I think Learn English and Practice is a great place to start, so subscribe below. These questions are for getting started. So if you don't know where to start with your English studies, here are some questions to ask. How do I start learning English as a beginner? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for improving my English skills? How can I improve my English grammar and vocabulary? What are some techniques for improving my English pronunciation? Can you suggest any books or websites for learning English? How can I find an English language tutor or teacher? How can I practice speaking and listening to English? What are some strategies for staying motivated while learning English? How can I set goals and track my progress when learning English? Here are some questions about studying. So if you need to study materials to learn English, here are some questions you can ask. What are some effective ways to study English? Can you recommend any resources or materials for studying English? How can I improve my English skills through self-study? What are some techniques for improving my English listening skills? Can you suggest any exercises or activities for improving my English grammar? How can I expand my English vocabulary through self-study? Can you recommend any books or websites for studying English on my own? How can I set up a study schedule and plan for learning English? What are some strategies for staying motivated while studying English? How do I deepen my English language studies? Next, we have questions to ask about practicing. That is actually one of the main focuses of this channel. So, practicing English is something near and dear to my heart. How can I practice speaking English on my own? What are some effective ways to improve my English listening skills? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for practicing English? How can I practice English grammar and vocabulary? Can you suggest any resources or materials for practicing English? How can I find native English speakers to practice with? What are some techniques for improving my English pronunciation skills through practice? How can I practice English reading and comprehension skills? Can you recommend any English language films or TV shows to watch and practice with? How can I set up a practice schedule and plan for learning English? Next, we have pronunciation, so the way you say English words and phrases. Here are some questions you can ask related to pronunciation. How can I improve my English pronunciation? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for improving my English pronunciation? What are some techniques for practicing English sounds and phonemes? How can I learn the correct mouth and tongue position for speaking English? Can you suggest any resources or materials for learning English pronunciation? How can I practice English stress and intonation patterns? What are some common mistakes that English learners make with pronunciation, and how can I avoid them? How can I improve my English accent and speak like a native speaker? Can you recommend any English language podcasts or TV shows to listen to and practice with? How can I get guidance on my English pronunciation from a native speaker? Next, we have comprehension, so your ability to understand what you read or hear. Here are some questions. How can I improve my English comprehension as a beginner? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for improving English comprehension? What are some techniques for practicing English listening comprehension? How can I improve my English reading comprehension? Can you suggest any resources or materials for learning English comprehension as a beginner? I am having difficulty understanding spoken English. What can I do? What are some strategies for improving my English comprehension of films or TV shows as a beginner? How can I understand and use English idioms or expressions as a beginner? How can I get feedback and help from someone at a more advanced English language level? Speaking. Here are some questions you can ask related to speaking. How can I improve my English speaking skills? Is it okay to practice speaking even though I make mistakes? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for improving English speaking? What are some techniques for practicing English speaking fluency? How can I improve my English pronunciation while speaking? Can you suggest any resources for learning English speaking? How can I practice speaking English in conversation with native speakers? What are some strategies for building confidence and becoming more comfortable speaking English? How can I understand and use English idioms and expressions to improve my speaking skills? Can you suggest any techniques for improving my English fluency and flow while speaking? How can I speak more quickly? Next, we have grammar, everyone's favorite. The rules for speaking and writing that structure the language. Here are some questions you could ask related to grammar. How can I improve my English grammar? Can you recommend any exercises or activities for practicing English grammar? What are some common mistakes that English learners make with grammar, and how can I avoid them? How can I learn and remember the rules of English grammar? Can you suggest any resources or materials for learning English grammar? How can I practice English sentence structure and word order? What are some tips for improving my English writing skills and grammar? How can I learn to use English verb tenses correctly? Can you recommend any English language books or articles to practice with? How can I get help on my English grammar if I don't know what mistakes I'm making? Lastly, we have questions that college students who are English as a second language speakers can ask. So, here are those questions. What are some tips for succeeding in college as an ESL student? How can I improve my English skills and do well in college? Can you recommend any resources for studying and doing homework as an ESL student? How can I improve my English grammar and syntax when writing essays or papers? Can you recommend any resources or support systems for ESL students in college? How can I effectively communicate or collaborate with my professors and classmates? How can I improve my study habits and learning skills to do well in college? How can I effectively manage stress and challenges while studying in college? Can you recommend any study groups or tutoring programs for ESL students in college? How can I prepare for and succeed on exams and assessments in college? How can I improve my English vocabulary for academic subjects? So, those are the 100 questions, and there are so many other questions you can ask. I encourage you to ask questions, keep learning, keep digging in. I know it's really hard work, but hopefully you can use those questions as a tool to seek out resources and deepen your knowledge. Again, I'm Marie from Learn English and Practice. I would appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me some questions in the comments that you ask to get what you need to learn English. And I look forward to seeing you on this channel again. Thanks so much. Goodbye.